Hello everyone. In this video I'm just going to continue to our last series of reading data from CSV file and convert it into the HashMap. Today we're going to go through the coding of that video series. Before that, let's do the quick recap what were there. So first thing is, this is the feature file that we did just demoed last video. So pretty much I have a scenario that fills in the registration form based on these values. These values are being provided from the CSV file. Each one of this row is a scenario. So we're trying to mimic the same type of data with the same way, same patterns of reading. So in order to do that, we're using CSV file this time. There are also same data in the Excel file if you want to just open it up. Same data. So what I have added is additional to this data itself. I have a column called test case ID. Basically what I'm trying to do is, from the test case ID, this is going to be the key and this entire thing is going to be the map. So each row is going to contain key value pair as a map, and this whole thing, the actual data piece, is going to be the map with a string which will have a key value pair. And that entire map is stored into the test case ID name. So every time this script runs, it will store all of this data into the row based, and it will capture the key value pair and go through this test case ID, store them. So that is the agenda. So in this video, we're going to demonstrate the CSV file. So CSV file also looks the same as this data. So if you open the CSV file, the only thing it matters here is it don't have like colorful and all that things, but this is just a simply text value that is presented in Excel format. So that's what's called comma separated value, right? So so that's the database. And then if I'll actually just do one quick thing here. So if you have so many Excel files for the test data, you might want to think of this way too. So this is the location that I have this data set up. Both of these are having the same set of the data, same format. If this was the CSV file, that's so ugly. So if this was the CSV file, the storage of disk space is just a 1 KB, but the same data in the Excel file takes 10 KB of the space. So you might want to consider that also, because from the testing point, all you care is this data are coming as a string. So for that purpose, both will serve the same value. So let's jump into the coding. So that's the agenda. Hope you're clear on that. So let's go ahead and create. So I have this empty package here. I'm going to create a new class. That class I'm going to just name as CSV File Reader. So that is just the class that we have. So very first thing what we need to do is we need to tell where this file is located, right? So I'll just say it's a private because I don't want anyone else access this file. So static final is just to tell that this is a constant. Format, so it will be CSV file path equals. So here, this location, I'm going to just pass what I have it at. If you have it in a different location, you might need to find out where the location is, and then so pass that in. So they are case sensitive, so make sure that you are passing the correct path. So here, if you see, I have a test data is a folder, and this have to also pass the extension. So we're up to there there now. So let's go to the next stage. So we're going to create a private method that loads the data. Private, I'm going to name this as a static. Private is static. It is just going to be void for now. So obviously it is going to throw the exception. We need to handle exception. Filing, we have to handle that. Right. So it's a file, so I have to throw exception. So very first thing what you need to do here is you need to go here. So first thing is put a file. So you might be familiar with this is same as you would do for the Excel file, java.io file. So next thing is you need to convert. So there's a one predefined utils we're going to use, which is called file utils. So it will help us reading the data from CSV files. So for that, byte array equals read. So if you see here, it has multiple arguments. So we're gonna use this one. So we're gonna pass the file there. So when you pass the file, it will return the byte array. So read file to the byte array. So what this will do is it will read entire file, but it will return you the bytes of array. So here, if you want to see how that would look like, so to read this, let's create a main method here. Right. So when you run this, it's going to print here bytes. So let's just do that quick run. So that's how it is, right? Byte. But if you want to do quick view, debug as Java application, you see that it is like that. So you cannot really find what is this value, right? Even though it's in the array of bytes, but then it is just in the byte. We cannot read this value. So in order to do that, we'll add additional line here. So it will be string. We need to convert that into the string. So the string data equals new string. Okay. So when you initialize that into the string, it will make you the readable format. So now what it does, it is going to convert that byte into the string. So now it will be in the readable format. So if you highlight here, you see the data is exactly as it is there. Now if you see here in the highlighted portion, right, it's a little small font, but I hope you can see it. These are the quoted by double quote, and it's the entire one string. There are also one couple things here you need to notice that /r and /n, those are just a separator. So what that is, /r is going to take it to the next row, /n is in the next line. So that is already given by the CSV files. So it will come that together, so we need to remove them. So in order to do that, let's go one more line here. So data equals replace all. So anywhere which is from the data, anywhere you see /r, then I want to remove that, right? That entire thing /r's from their data. I'm going to show you why we needed to do this later. So after this point we have a /n, okay, /n. So /n, let's use that /n in a different pattern. So what we do, we create a string array, because right now this is an entire one string, but we need to find out each row by row, and then we need to loop that through, right? Just like this, we need to take each row. We cannot have entire thing in one string, then it will be hard for us to map, right? So to make that, we need to create a string array. Data array equals data dot split anywhere which is /n, right? Because we already removed /r, then it will be that, right? So now it is a data array, it is in the array. So to read the array, what do? You have to pass this, right? Square code, square bracket, and then with this index number it is going to print. So we're just going to print the first line, which is a headers, right? Headers. So if you want to see here, you can just do right click and watch. It's in the debug mode, that's why you see that. So these are the values from the first row, right? First row. So let's do that also. Let's go back, because these are the headers. We need to keep for our key value pairing, right? So we need to keep those in. So let's do that. Okay, so row first is keys equals data array 0. Okay, so that's the row, first row. So these are in the array. I'm going to convert this into the list, so it will be easier for us to further manipulate these keys. So it will be list. So it is a new list, array list, right? So java.util. Now after that, what we need to do is we need to because if you see here, they are comma separated, right? So they are comma separated. We need to also again split these values. Each one we have to separate it out. Right now we have the entire thing with the comma separator, so I want to take out each of these values and put them into the list. So to do that, what we need to do is, so from these keys we need to split again. So it will be string, right? Key array equals keys split. That will be the comma separator. So I'm putting comma separator there. So this is now key array, right? Key array. So here key is there. So what we do now, we have split that. We need to put this inside this list, right? This keys from files, so that we can use that again. So key from file dot add all is there. So from this array we need to put this here inside that, so they will be treated as a array list, not the list. But it doesn't let me do that directly, right? I have to convert that itself into the collections. They are in an array. So to do that, we have already defined from arrays as list. So now you can pass the array, and that this as list will convert it into the array list. So now keys from file, okay, keys from file after this point is a array list. So why we are doing this whole thing is we need to separate only the data part from this guy, right? Data part from this guy, and then later we're going to use this same array list into the looping patterns, right? So keys from file dot remove. So because I don't need that first character now, because first character I already stored here, right? First character is already stored there. So don't forget, right now we are only up to the header portion. So we stored this one and we removed this, just the test ID portion. This one we don't need it. We need this one though, we don't need this one. From the header we stored all the header. Out of the header we only keep this guy. That's what we are right now. Okay, now we are done from the header part, right? Okay, now we need to loop through this data. We need to go up until these data are there. All the rows we need to capture. We need to capture all of the all the columns and all the rows, all the columns and all the rows based on key values. So for that we have to loop them. So let's loop that. So create a for loop. Let's say int d equals 1, because we don't need the header now. Header is gone. So d is less than data array dot length, right? It's an array. So that's the data array, and d plus plus. So from now what we do, we create another map here. New HashMap. Obviously they go by util classes, right? After that, let's go ahead and create one more list, because we need that. There will be the row equals new array list. Okay. Now here what we do. Now from here, if you see, just like we broke this apart, we need to also break this apart, right? Up until now you're doing that, but we need to also remove or capture this guy and only keep this. So we have a headers as a keys, we capture the keys, but the values are one extra line, right? We don't need that, so we have to capture the same thing. So we have to split the same way we did it here. So here what we do, we got a row here, right? So what is that? Values. String row array equals, what do you do? Row is a data array with the index of D, so that's each of the row, right? Dot split. So that will get you splitted data, right? So row array. What do you do in this row? Each of this row, what we want to do is we want to keep each of these rows with this one. So we have to first feed this array list. So row dot add all, right? Row dot add all, row arr, which is arrays dot. So what you did now, you just added the same row into that data, right? So after this, you have this whole entire row stored there. Now you have extra hand to clean this up, so you can now remove this guy out. Before removing, you have to capture this because this is going to be key for your hash map. So I will say string key for data get 0. So I capture that these keys. I capture these keys. Now I can remove this, right? After that line, I'll just say row dot remove 0. After that, I said, okay, go ahead and remove me. So now this row is going to give me remaining values. Okay, so we have enough value, enough headers. So we are at the point now we can create a map. Okay, now we can create a map. So to do the map, we have to do another loop within this for loop. Okay, within this for loop. Map, which is called for int I equals 0, I is less than from file, right? Dot size, it's a radius, so it will be size I plus plus. Okay, so we got both a radius. So now what you do, you have this map, right? The internal map. This is the internal map. Internal map has to go through key value. So that's what we are doing. So we got a map dot put. Now key, what is the key here? Key is not there yet, so key is going to be keys from file, whatever this key are from the keys, the errors, right? Dot get I, which is going to be I, those are key, and then value are going to be row dot get I, so let's trim this also. So we trim both, so that will remove extra spacing. So we are done with the map, by the way. So now what we do, we have to keep this map preserved, otherwise every time it will loop through and it will continue to erase it. So to do that, we have to have an additional set of this map outside of this for loop. So here, let's say, let me just put here. I'm gonna name this as an outer map. So it is going to be map like that, right? So it has to be map. We have a pass the key, and then the value is going to be the map, right? So key value remaining same. So outer map. Now after this loop is ending, right? What this loop means, in this loop, what it is doing, it is just going to go through this loop, right? Only one row. Once one row is done, which means this for loop is done, we have to capture that map, right? So outer map dot put, the key is going to be here. We have a key for the test case, right? And then the value is a map here. So map is there. So we got an outer map set up, right? Okay, we're done here now. So our outer map now is going to keep entire thing. It will continue to loop. As long as there are a number of the headers, it will dynamically look for those. and then as long as there are rows, it will continue to look for key value, and it will go up to the 13th map. So we're done here. So let me go ahead and print this value here. Where's this method go? Okay, here. So inside that. So if I print this value, you will see. So what happened here, keys from value, and I remove that test case ID from here. Now when I hit that and I hover that again, it will be keys from file, right? Now, oh, it already printed because I hit F8 instead of next step. Let's go step by step. So before that, I want to do that. Debug as Java application. Okay, so first of all, we pass the file name, file path is there. You can even, do parameterize, take the argument, but usually if you have multiple data, you can pass it. Otherwise, you don't, because these are pretty much constant. Your data is going to be same place. It doesn't have to be, you have to make this parameterized. But it's up to you. If you try to just put this outside of util classes, then yeah, make that parameterized. So anyway, so you get that path, we define the file, instantiate this file, and then file utils, we're using that util to read the data into byte array, and it takes the argument as a file. Now after that, this byte is going to be array, so I need to convert that into the regular string. From the string, it will be one single chunk of the string. It will have a /r/n. So I'm first removing /r's. So /r is removed. Now /n's are not visible, it's just the next liner. After that, data array has everything splitted with the new line. New line is going to tell us that it's the next row. And then we are capturing the keys from this array. Whenever we split that, we said, okay, capture me the first row. I'm going to treat them as a header. And we're just creating one empty map, so this is going to store all of this values, entire data into this map. After that, we have these keys defined. Within the keys, we have to split them because they are comma. So we need to read each one of these as a HashMap keys for our data. So we have to split that. After that, we are feeding that into the array list. So to do the array list, we have to use arrays.asList. And then we pass the array, which is the same guy, then it will be converted into the array list. So the main purpose of doing this is we don't want to use the first value. First value, we want to remove it. So to do that, array list already has a method called remove, and you can just pass the index. We remove that. And then here, we don't need to print that anymore. After that, we're good to loop, right? So because we already removed this guy out, we have a headers. We need to now loop through the column and rows. So first we are doing that. So we are using that from the rows, right? So we need to make sure it is going to loop this many times, and each time it goes, it has to go through only this, otherwise it will hit the out of bound exception. So that's why you have to have two different sizes, right? Because these rows are not as equal as the columns. So we're looping it within the rows, right? Rows. After that row, these are just two empty map. The main purpose of empty map is every time it finishes one loop, we want that map to be empty. Otherwise, it will continue to override the existing data. So now that map is there. So most of the time people do mistake that they put this map outside of this loop. So it will always try to override at that time because mapping doesn't allow the duplicate keys, right? So now next thing is we got that. After that, we do the same thing for the value because we only handled the keys earlier. So now the values are one more extra rows, because we're treating this entire rows as a values and only the top row as a keys, right? So value has one extra row, so we need to do the same pattern in order to remove it. To remove that, I have created this array, whatever value it is, dot split, right? So data array dot d is, this is the loop. This index D is going to be whatever index it is looping through, which means in our case it is a row. Every time any row you go, whenever you come into this row, then each one of these are comma separated, split them with the comma separated, make this string array. After that, we convert that again with the array list, just like we did here, and then we put it inside the row array. And then after that, we are capturing the first value of that row array, which is the A001, like that. As soon as we capture that, we remove that, we don't need that anymore, so we map that according to key value. We only now focus on this value. Now we are ready to do key value mapping, because the first column is no longer used. We already used their store their purpose. So we're in the column mapping here loop, so which is say keys from the files, which means number of the keys we have in the file headers. And then as long as those exist, it will continue to fetch the value from the first part. Keys dot get I is going to be, every time it loops, it will say 1 and next, like that. And then the value for those is the row. Each time row is going to be the same, right? Row is here, these are the rows. Any row it comes, it will look for the same value here, and then it will go there. So we got that all. So after that, this loop is done. We are storing that into the map.put with the key value here. So this has a map of each row. Every time this for loop is done, then we need to capture that entire data so it doesn't get lost. We have to create a map called outer map. Okay, outer map. So this outer map, what it does is it will take the first columns, these first columns, first cell or second, like anytime it loops through, whatever row it is in, it will capture this value, and then it will keep that as a key. That's how we want it, so that we can use that in our test, like anytime, as long as you get this test case ID, you get this setup scenario to run. Any test case ID will run the same corresponding scenarios. That's what we wanted. So now we capture that, and outer map.put keys is we capture the keys before we removed it. That's why we need it. Those are the keys. Value of this one will be map, because if you see outer map, it receives a key as a string, then map itself is the value for that, right? So that's what this is our map. After that, we're done. Outer map is our the exact mapping data. So let's go ahead and debug this. It's already in debug mode. So to step through, I'm just hitting F6. So it will go each line by line, right? So you are there, data is there, /r is removed, so data looks like that. So if you see here, there's only n. Now I go to data array. Data array is split by 9, all that. So next. So row, before removing row has A001, we don't want that. I removed it. Now 001 is gone, starts from euro. So those are the values, right? And then keys are here. Keys are currency, gender, those. So we have to map like exact row to exact row, right? Exact headers. So if you see the map right now, put in currency as a euro. The more it goes, it will find more values, more pairs. So we're done here. So actually what it does is after you're done with this for loop, it goes back into here. Okay, back into here. So I'm going to hit F8. So every time it goes through this loop, it will continue to come back. Outer map is right now empty. This loop is done, so it will first capture this value with the MP inside this key A001. So we're in the first row. So after that, if you see here, it has a value A001 equals, that means the HashMap dot get A001 will give us this HashMap, right? Now you go next round, it does the same thing. MP is now empty. It will again feed in the data. Every time it goes through the new row, it will feed in the data. So we get next F8. So I'll just keep going. It will loop through until there's a rows, right? So until there's a row, it will loop through that. Now it is done with all rows. It has all these 13 rows. So if you see here, there are 10 rows, right? You can open this up. Key value, key, value, right? Each value is there, or you can just use the console print. So you can just do this. Everything is there, right? All key values there. Now when you try to read this, data is already mapped. Let's say if you want to read the first row only, what do you do? Not the first row, you can actually read by the keys. So outer map dot get A001, for example. Then what happens? It will just run through. I don't need a breakpoint anymore. So this is there. So first value, outer map A001. Now this is a map. So for example, if you want to just again instantiate, what do you do? Map. My map. Row map lesson. So we're now reading back, okay? We are stored this before, now we're reading it back. So equals, let's say, I'm just going to use this value, right? So use that. And then now you can see row map dot get. Now key is going to be, for example, month, right? Month or whatever value, and they are case sensitive, right? So here, if I do that, now I get the value for this specific maps rows data. So F8 again, F8. So now I got a row map, only one rows data, first rows data. Now if you see more inside, you see that when I hit F6, I just print the January. So row A001 had a January, this one you get. So this is how we literally do the mapping. And then in my next video, I'm going to go through how we use this map into the test. Before that, my quick one example. So for example, if I want to convert this entire map into the JSON object, which is just a two-liner, so I'm going to just instantiate this JSON object. New JSON object. So this is coming from org.json. So if you just hover there, org.json. If you don't have, you have to add the PALM library. In my other videos, it has it. Now you have a JSON data. What you do is, only thing is you can pass your map itself. Okay. Okay. Now I am going to just pass this outer map here. So this is going to be entire map. This is going to be very interesting. Okay. So I'm going to print that out. So JSON data. Right. So now let's see what's what. So first thing is, I'm going to capture this entire map into the notepad. So this is the map, right? It has each row here. If you see, each test ID has a map here. Row value, row value. Bear with me. We're almost there. Row value. Each one has a different row. We got all these rows, right? Papa. So we got row value here. So now after we are converting this data into JSON, we will see how it looks like. So let me go ahead and save this and then run this quickly. And let's see, F6, everything is gone. So JSON data is there. It looks different. It has its own set of template. So now I'm printing out this everything in this JSON map, right? So as you know, there's already the some library just online sites where you could actually do the JSON validator. So JSON is one I usually use. So I can just paste it in and it will validate if it's a valid JSON file. So if you see green as a validator, right? So it will say, if it's a validator, it will say valid JSON. So now it will kind of, format this whole thing. I can do Control A, C, and then put it in the notepad here. So you see this data is like that now. So now in my another video, we're going to use both ways, how you could use the JSON, parse it, and then use these values to the Selenium test. as well as same as how this would be if it was the case for the HashMap. So that's going to be very interesting, so please do follow me in the next video. Thank you very much for watching this long, and thank you for supporting my channel. If you haven't, please do subscribe my channel. Feel free to add your comments and I'll try to address them as soon as I can. Thank you so much and have a great day.